Please welcome once again the director, writer, and star, Santiago Segura.
Thank you for staying till the end.
In this film, especially, it seemed so many of the scenes were really very complicated in terms of setting up. Did you spend a lot of time just rehearsing and setting up, because the humor is very precise visually?
This film was the most complicated of the saga because of the 3D. I mean, I wasn't kidding before this. We shot this in 3D, and the problem with the stereoscopic cameras is that the setting is so boring, you know. I mean, from one set to another. Usually, when you change the lenses in a regular set, it's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But here, it delays like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. So we have a lot of time to rehearse.
Were most of the settings real locations, or the prison and whatever, most of it sets?
Yeah. The prison is now abandoned, and they were ready to transform that in un centro cultural.
A cultural center.
Sí, letal crisis, crisis letal, cultural center, centro cultural. Sí. Spanish, English. No, and for instance, the mansion at the beginning is so funny because just yesterday they announced that José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero is gonna live there, you know, because it's it's renting. It was a rental, and now he's gonna live there. The socialist president. Yeah, see, the reality is laughing stock. So I just used it for the movies. So I want to say, you know, to apologize, because at the beginning, with the first Torrente, I didn't know what to do because I wanted to do the bicycle thief, but I also want to do naked gun, you know. So at the end I didn't know what to do, because that always happens to me, you know. I don't know what direction to take. Or
what was the origin of the character of Torrente? Is there someone you can think of who inspires it in terms of just a comic persona?
But, Spain is full of torrentes, you know. So it's I pick from a lot of people, you know. But maybe the seed was in a restaurant, in a Chinese restaurant. I saw a guy with his family, and he was so pathetic and, you know, vergüenza ajena. How is that?
It was shameful.
Yeah, pero vergüenza ajena, when you feel ashamed for somebody else, like you feel.
You were embarrassed for him.
Yeah, I was feeling I was shameful and embarrassed because of the guy, but at the same time I was laughing, you know, because the guy was calling the Oriental waiter like chinita, like pathetic, you know, like chinita, los cafés gratis, no, que hemos consumido mucho. I look at the family of this guy and say, poor people, you know. But Torrente, the funny thing about Torrente is that he thinks about himself as a gentleman, you know. He thinks he's the greatest. That's the funny thing, among other things. So usually people ask, or
well, I was going to I start off, but I was just actually going to.
You're hitting the thing.
Just you know, no one wants to ask the first question. So
yeah, cobardes.
Yeah. Okay, cobardes. Who wants to ask the first question?
No, de uno en uno, por favor.
Yes.
Sí, levántese y diga su nombre. No, I am kidding. Do as you please.
La pregunta es, a nivel de producción, salía el logotipo este de la Warner al principio, y como en las otras anteriores, pues me imagino que tenías menos apoyo a nivel de producción de conseguir presupuesto, ¿no? Saber si por esa razón hay algún tipo de limitaciones o como recomendaciones por la productora a la hora de dirigirla y escribir esa.
The gentleman says that he imagines that when he began both working as actor and director and producer, he had less support. But here, of course, he has a lot more. The series has been successful and whatever. And what advice does he have for someone who is starting out, who wants to both direct and produce and be in a film?
When you saw Warner, that logo is not the production company. It's only they were distributors of the film. So I have this kind of crazy freedom that I do whatever I please, you know. So there is no censorship or somebody above me telling me, "You're nuts. What the hell are you doing?" You know. It's like, so I do whatever I please, you know? And sometimes I feel like a child, you know, because I say, I'm gonna stretch this a little further, so let's see what's happened, you know. Terrible, you know. No, I feel because this is an expensive movie, especially with the 3D and for a Spanish movie, it's kind of expensive. It was like $10 million. You know? It's not any American movie. Even independent movies are, you know, more expensive than this. But for Spain, it's kind of muy alto, presupuesto muy alto.
Very, very high budget.
Entonces, claro, yo digo, ¿quién quiere ver un ojete en 3D? O sea, no sé hasta qué punto y cuánto tiempo, ¿sabes? ¿Cuánto tiempo puedes aguantar ese plano? Entonces, es como, o sea, para mí es como que estoy experimentando, o sea, como jugando un poco, ¿no? O sea, que realmente digo, sí, quiero que se saque un teléfono del culo y entonces vamos a poner un pellejito aquí de lenteja para que sea más realista. Dice, pero vamos a enseñarlo 2 fotogramas. Digo, no, vamos a enseñarlo 15 fotogramas. Entonces, vamos probando, no sé. O sea, yo siempre intentando... El problema con el humor, este humor salvaje, el problema es la línea. ¿Dónde puedes cruzar la línea? ¿Hasta qué punto deja de ser gracioso para ser desagradable y patético? ¿O hasta qué punto puede ser patético y desagradable, pero conseguir que la gente ría? Luego el público es rarísimo, ¿sabes? Que la sensibilidad del público, algunos la dejan en casa, ¿sabes? Es increíble. Yo veo a veces me avergüenzo del público, ¿no? O sea que o sea que yo estoy embrutecido, pero hasta cierto punto. Pero hay gente terrible. Luego la película, mucha gente... Perdona, Richard, te estoy... Sí, sé que eres una máquina, pero... Bueno, el caso es que hay un problema generalmente con Torrente, ¿no? Que hay gente que no entiende que es una crítica y lo entiende como una apología. Y luego hay gente que se identifica con Torrente y le tienen como una especie de ídolo. A mí esto me aterroriza, pero claro, yo no soy pedagogo, ¿no? O sea, no voy puerta por puerta. Hola, he entendido la película, tal. Quiero explicarle que esta no es la actitud vital que usted debe asumir, ¿no? O sea, yo hago las películas y cada una las entiende como quiera. Pero sí que es verdad que al principio tenía un cierto reparo, ¿no? Digo, esto puede ser, pues eso, como un arma de destrucción masiva, realmente en las manos equivocadas.
I just want to say that, of course, the Warner Brothers you see at the beginning, they were just the distributors. They weren't the producers of it. But the problem is really when you're making the films like this is really how far can you go in terms of your humor? How far can you go and still make something that's really disgusting funny? Take, for example, for me it's really fun. It's like playing. I can tell someone, okay, now someone's going to take a telephone out of their ass. And then we'll put a few lentils here so it looks very realistic. But do I show that for 2 frames or for 15 frames or whatever? That's really the problem, is that, you know, you're going to cross a line, but how far can you go and still make it funny for some people? Pathetic, perhaps, but at least funny for some people. And I have to tell you, at times I'm a little bit ashamed of audience because, okay, I'm sort of an insensitive brute, but there are some people, I tell you, who are much worse than me. I have to sometimes wonder if people understand that this is kind of a critique, a criticism of this character, not a kind of apologetics for him, a kind of praise for him. Some people see him as a kind of idol in a way. And, I feel sometimes I should be at the door of the cinema after people see the film to explain to them, look, you shouldn't really like this guy or whatever. But then again, people, I guess, should get out of the films anything that they like.
It sounds better when he says the things. It's amazing, you know.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Has this film been shown, or not this film, but the Torrente series been shown in Latin America or other countries?
Has Torrente been around Latin America or other countries?
You know, this is the first one that is being released in. I mean, the first one got like a limited release, and finally we got this one in Argentina. And when I was there, the distributor told me that there has been like 24 million of downloads, illegal downloads of the saga. So people know Torrente. I would like to have, you know, a dime for every download. I'll be rich as Rockefeller, but no. So in Argentina, it's been a great success. In Chile, it was a failure. So go guess. I don't know. We are still. This film is being. I mean, it's been. Lo han comprado en Rusia.
They've bought the film in Russia, bought the distribution right?
Francia,
France,
Italia,
Italy,
Hungría.
Hungary.
Sí. So it's okay. It's been well received, you know. Because at the beginning I say it's too local. Maybe people won't understand, but
Even in Spain, I wonder, have you noticed it does better in cities than outside the cities? Or pretty? I mean, it's been such a huge hit. It's just been successful everywhere.
Everywhere. It's amazing. I still can't believe it.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
¿Cómo consigues que tantas personas famosas como Miguel Jaime y el resto de maestros americanos participen en tus películas? Si es una televidente que lo pueden odiar, lo pueden amar, o si has tenido algún tipo de experiencia con algún artista famoso, una persona reconocida, que le hayan preguntado participa en tu película y simplemente por no me parece que voy a eso porque he dicho que no.
The question is really, how do you get so many famous and well-known people to participate in a film that some people might think is really irreverent and whatever, and what's their reaction to the film afterwards?
Well, I like cameos. Sometimes I ask people to be in the movie, but after the second one, famous people ask me to appear in the movie. So I was like, are you sure you want to be there? The first one, the real Carlos Moya, the tennis player, in the second film he was #1 of the world at that moment. You know, he wanted to appear. So I was writing the script. I said, okay, why not? No, and then it's like with the music. No, it's what I dream. I'm writing and I say I would love to have Franco's granddaughter here in the party, you know, and I think it's surreal, but I think it's funny when I write in it, but I think it's impossible to get, and sometimes things happen, you know, but I'm amazed myself. But it's true that also some people, you know, I ask them and they say, are you out of your mind?
How is Cesc Fabregas?
Cesc is amazing, you know. He was one of the ones that he was a Torrente fan and he wanted to be there. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's, the football players is because some people I can hire. You know, it's just a matter of liking the movie and the character and you know wanted to play because I mean how can you pay one of these millionaires? You know, I mean Sergio Ramos. He's got a Nike commercial or something that they are paying him more than the whole budget of the movie for showing his Nikes. So I mean I can offer him a sandwich and I tell him I owe you one. If you have a birthday party and you need a clown or a magician, or I can do it.
Yes, sir.
It looked like there were a couple of references to Vertigo in there. When you sit down to write, is that something you're seeking to do, is to make allusions to Hitchcock, or did the scenes just arrive and that happened to be a funny, cool thing that happened?
This viewer says he thinks there are a couple of references to Hitchcock's Vertigo, and I guess, are there films that you're referencing, and does that happen in the writing or during the shoot?
I was una rata de filmoteca. So.
He's kind of a, how can you say, a habitué of cinematics. Would always go and see lots of movies at the Spanish Filmoteca.
Mi cabeza es una especie de trituradora o vertedero de películas, entonces hay muchas referencias que salen.
So his brain is a kind of warehouse of a lot of old movies, so of course there are lots of references that come out.
And as I was telling before, I'm like a child playing sometimes. You know, I in this movie I wanted to do, I want to have the music of The Great Escape. I love that movie and I love the music. So we asked for the rights and they were available and wasn't too expensive, so I put it there. You know? So it's kind of el sueño de un cinéfilo. ¿No?
Yeah, it's sort of like a filmmaker's dream, or a cinephile's dream, a film fan's dream, that you can sort of ask for things like the soundtrack to Great Escape and actually get it.
So sometimes while I'm writing, it's true that I think about this homage or spoofs or whatever, and sometimes it's during the shooting that these things happen.
Yes, sir.
¿En qué momento y cómo fue que se dio cuenta que sí la situación? ¿Fue algo así momentáneo o fue algo?
Now, at what point did you realize that cinema was going to be your passion?
You know, I'm still don't know how this happened, you know, because movies were my passion as a spectator. I still think I like better the movies from behind the. I mean, I like to watch movies better than doing it, but I have to make a living. So maybe in another life I can be a critic. So they make a living watching movies. You know?
Ojalá que no.
No, I hope so. No, it's tough also because you have to say something about every movie, and that's tough. You know, because there are movies that you don't want to say anything about it. But you know, at the beginning, I didn't know what I feel is my passion is to entertain. So if I wasn't making movies, I would be, you know, singing in the streets or whatever. Cualquier cosa que tenga que ver con el entretenimiento.
Yeah. Something that had to do with entertainment would certainly be what I was doing, whatever it was. Yes?
Can you talk about how you transform yourself into the character and how you untransform yourself? Because you clearly...
Questions about the transformation of Santiago Segura into Torrente.
Yeah, the easy part is to transform into Torrente, you know. To come back to my normal being is tough, you know, because I gain like 30 kilos every time I play Torrente, you know. I said to myself, if Robert De Niro can do it, I can do it, you know. But it's the fourth time and I'm getting old and, you know, my hips and everything, my knees, everything is falling apart. So I don't know about the fifth installment. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. You know, you know, the problem is the identification of the audiences with Torrente. And when I go walking down the street and people say Torrente to me, you know, Torrente, I hate that, you know, because if you are playing James Bond and they say James Bond, I mean it's okay. This guy is fooling around, you know, with blondes and, you know, killing spies and driving fast cars, but Torrente, you know, you don't want to be Torrente. You know? I feel like Boris Karloff, you know, if he's in an airport and, hey, Frankenstein! It's not...
What about television? Can Torrente have the films appeared on television? Any restrictions?
No. Spain is weird that way, you know. These movies have been in television without any cuts.
Fantastic.
Go figure.
We have time for one or two more. Yes. Do we have to wait a long time for Torrente 5?
Yeah, I guess a couple of years, two or 3 years. But you want another Torrente? Oh, great guy. No, see, the problem is, as I was telling you, I never know what to do with what to do next. You know, last night I was watching Hugh Jackman on Broadway, and I said I want to do that. You know, singing, dancing. That's what I want to do. Gotta dance.
Yes, sir.
Do you ever get asked by politicians to reprise the character for commercials, for political commercials, perhaps discredit a certain party or something like that?
Have you ever been asked by a politician to sort of play Torrente for a political advertisement or something like that?
I love this question. First time, because all the questions, are kind of over the same over and over. But this is the first time somebody asked me that. I can't imagine any politician who wants to be. I mean, not even related to Torrente to discredit another party. So I don't know. So never. Nobody approached me to do that. But it's a great idea,
You could offer your service.
I'm gonna offer my service.
Okay, time for one more. Yes, sir.
Are you doing any more American films or any cameos in
Well,
American films?
I was so excited because Adam Sandler called me to play a Spanish gigolo in Jack and Jill. So I went there. I was 2 weeks in Miami. I told all my friends, hey, I'm in a movie with Al Pacino. I was so happy, and then Adam Sandler called me home after the movie and said, Santiago, we're cutting your part, but don't worry that there will be plenty of time to do another project together. I was so sad, But he said, don't worry, because in Spain you are still on the movie. I said, really? So,
The Spanish cut.
the Spanish cut, But this is I haven't told anyone, It's terrible, But no, I mean, it's horrible. No, the good thing, I love Adam Sandler movies, and especially this one, Jack and Jill. I saw Rotten Tomatoes, and he got a 0. So I say, hey, there's somebody worse than me. And I talked to Adam about that. Grown Ups. It was the biggest grossing Adam Sandler movie, and it was los críticos la aborrecieron.
The critics absolutely destroyed it, tore it apart.
A veces es impresionante hasta qué punto el público y la crítica están totalmente divididos.
At times, it's really impressive how far the critics and the public are divided.
I mean, sometimes critics are right, but I don't know. Like, there should be like a critic. O sea, que yo siempre he pensado que la crítica debería hacerse con respecto al tipo de película que estás viendo. O sea, que si claro, comparar a los hermanos Farrelly con Rossellini, pues es que es como, ¿no?
I've always thought that critics should be aware of the kind of film that they're reviewing and write accordingly. For example, you don't compare the Farrelly brothers to Rossellini. They're just, very different things.
Actually, I like better the Farrelly brothers. But that's me.
Does someone like Adam Sandler translate to Spanish audiences?
Sure. Especially when it's a concept, like Click or, but the funny thing is that comedy doesn't travel as good as.
No, that's true.
I love Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorite comedians, and Ben Stiller. In Spain they are not. ¿Cómo se dice? Brand, no.
Not brand names.
Not brand names.
Right.
O sea,
There's that one.
que vas a una señora en la calle y le dices, Will Ferrell, No.
If you ask just some woman on the street, so ask her, who's Will Ferrell? She goes, I don't know.
Sí, o sea, Brad Pitt, George Clooney,
Yeah.
sí.
George Clooney and Brad Pitt, of course they know, but
Like
not the comics.
regular stars, but comedy geniuses, no, they are not well appreciated in other countries. Comedy.
How about from other countries? Like, for example, was someone like Toto popular in Spain?
No, not really.
Huh?
It's amazing. Cantinflas, but it's the same idiom,
right.
at least. It's weird because antes el cine tenía más otra dimensión. Por ejemplo, Luis de Funes era muy famoso en España. Ahora no hay ningún cómico francés que haya traspasado la frontera. O sea, de alguna forma es curioso cómo, en vez de ir pasando el tiempo y ampliarse, dado que estamos en una aldea global, deberíamos conocer mejor las cinematografías de otros países vecinos. Y no. O sea, casi el cine norteamericano, o sea, cada vez con más fuerza copa el mercado, ¿no? O sea, que antes se veía cine italiano en España, ahora pues es 1 o 2 películas al año, algunos años.
Yeah, in fact, it's really just it's another dimension, another aspect of cinema. For example, someone like the French comic Louis de Funès used to be really popular in Spain. We saw all his films, they were well known. Now there hasn't been a French comic whose work really is shown across the border, shown in Spain in a very long time. And, you know, it's strange. I mean, we're getting to the point that even though we're in a more and more global world, we don't even know what our next door neighbors are making, the kinds of films they have. And, you know, in a sense, it's that the Americans just control more and more. And we used to see, you know, Italian films very regularly in Spain. Now, 1 or 2 a year is tops, and some years not even that. Yes, one more.
En el horizonte? I hope so. O sea que, I hope so, because I love Alex. Once I said, if Alex did a movie every year with me as a star, o sea, el mundo se hubiera ahorrado mis películas. Pero no me, sabes que no me llama con la regularidad necesaria. Yo tengo deudas de juego, facturas que pagar. Entonces yo tengo que hacer cine.
The question is about the director Alex de Iglesia, who's often worked with Santiago, and Santiago says he would love to work with him all the time, but he doesn't call them all the time, and so because of that, he's got to make films to pay bills and things like that. Santiago, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way.
Thank you. Thank you. You've been a great audience.
Take that, Hugh Jackman.